talk about engineer things. And everybody in my part being an engineer is B, B, and C. That's what we've elected to do. So we're going to go through a few specific points. This particular one, this is the indoor air quality point. This is the one where before the owner gets in the building, we have to make sure the building's clean. And there's two compliance paths. One is to flush out the building with the HVAC system. It tells you how much air to put in and how to flush it. Or the second one is the indoor air quality test, and it tests for those things up there specifically listed. When I've been involved in lead projects, this point, the first option takes a lot of time. It might take a couple weeks to get that volume of air, so people, time is money. People don't want to complete a building and let it sit there for 2 weeks before they start getting in it. And that was us. This is our Louisville office building that our company built and now occupies here in town. So we tried the air testing. The building was constructed with low VOC materials, and we had a final cleaning with low VOC cleaners. We said, hey, when you clean this building, this is our intent. We want to get this point. Don't mess us up. Don't come in here with Windex or ammonia or whatever. I'm not a VOC expert, but we said low VOC cleaners. That's what we want. We even opened the window for 3 days and ran the exhaust fans. So no VOCs in the building originally. No VOC cleaners were used, and we opened it up, flushed it out, and we failed. It was traced to low VOC cleaners, specifically acetone. Acetone cleaners are used in cleaning wood floors and when staining wood trim. And there's a lot of confusion about acetone. Even me getting ready for this presentation, trying to recreate it was a little difficult. Because the EPA has ruled that acetone is excluded from the list of VOCs. But if you go to the list of 187 VOCs, there's acetone compounds. There's like acetyl and acetosis or something. You won't see acetone. So it's still, when you go sign up for an indoor air quality test, it's one of the things they look for, because the EPA's made this ruling that these people have been over here practicing their business, and they don't keep up with everything the EPA does. I mean, who would? So our testing agency considered acetone to be a VOC, and that was, we got 49 points on this building out of 50, and this was the one point that we didn't get. You only need 51 to be platinum. If we thought we were going to get 49, we would have went after a couple more. We're a very high gold.
Hey, Jeremy.
Yeah.
You said it takes about 2 weeks to flush it out. Can you do, if you go to the testing method, can you do that while the contractors are still working on the building before they finish? Or what's
the flush out, the compliance path one is the flush out, and it gives you a metric. It says so many cubic feet per minute per square foot. And you calculate what your air handlers can do, and that just usually is 2 or 3 weeks.
right?
And you want to do that, I think, when they're done. They're gone.
If people are in the space, do you violate some rule there? Like if you got...
I don't know.
Yes, you do, but yeah, it has to be unoccupied.
Okay.
So then if you do the testing
But
method,
to your point, you could do it early if the HVAC is zoned properly.
okay. So do I wait 2 weeks or however long it takes? So.
And the 3 days was just us being paranoid, and it still didn't do any good.
Alright.
You would think low VOC materials, low VOC cleaners, come on, let's do it.
Yeah. Okay.
We waited for 3 days anyway. And this is kind of, to illustrate my point. This is a MSDS sheet, low VOC cleaning solution. Oh, sorry. Ingredient acetone. It's a VOC. It is, you Google it, Wikipedia says it's a VOC, but it's in a low VOC cleaner. So I don't really get it. So this is what I take away from
You now have acetosis disease.
XBL. So I would say, even if you're going to use the indoor air quality testing, I would build time into the construction schedule. I don't think it's an immediate thing. I don't think you want to take that chance. For us to do it, we would have had to have brought the testing agency again, paid for that again. A lot of paperwork, a lot of headache when you're trying to move into a building. So I would still put in that time in the schedule. And then get clear on the acetone with your testing agency. If not allowed, contractors are not allowed to use the acetone cleaners.
Jeremy, what was your goal on the building? You pursued 50 points?
50, right?
You chose not to pursue 51?
Correct.
Okay.
We did, based on our experience at the time, you know, there was a 10% rejection rate of points. You know, when we did Lincoln Hall and Berea, the first one in Kentucky, I mean, we did not, we probably got 90% of the points. So we thought we were going to be a solid middle gold, maybe a low gold, not just want to be platinum.
I've had the same experience with the 10%, sorry, the 10% thing.
This point is about the refrigerant management point, and this was Project University of Kentucky. We could not meet this prerequisite because of their central plant. So if you can't do a prerequisite, does that kill your lead project? Basically because you're not allowed to use R22 inside of lead. So they have millions and millions of dollars of a central plant. We're obviously not going to change that. So everybody was pretty concerned. It made no sense whatsoever to replace these chillers. It would not pay for itself in any form or fashion. So basically in the end, we were able to satisfy the prerequisite, but we had to do an economic analysis, and then GBCI said, you know, that's not good enough. We had to hire a third party to review our analysis to submit to them. But on the surface, you know, we could not have met this prerequisite dealing with the existing central plant. There's probably a lot of universities out there that would apply to.
At what phase of the project did you do that?
Found out about the design.
Yeah. I don't know how we're definitely during design. As we're going through our checklist, you know, that was one that,
So did you do a CIR, or how did you, because you hadn't submitted anything yet?
It wasn't a CIR. You know, to be honest, I can't remember the exact path that we did, but it was not a CIR. We did sort of a direct contact to GBCI and asked them, you know, we're not going to be able to meet this. It's going to cost $3 million for you to be able to, you know, get this one point. These are buildings. And then we went to they don't invest. I'll talk about more engineering stuff, but I'll try to be quick. So, you know, Jeremy had mentioned one other credit here, the optimized energy performance. You know, the lead requires you to do 2 points up to 19 points. Project we just got done talking about their UK, new building on UK's campus. Traditionally, we had done energy models, gotten back, you know, 3 or 4 comments. We got back 3 pages of fine print comments on this, which was great. I loved it. First thing, this was actually just some trouble stuff that we had on our forum online, was you go through and you categorize the energy that you're using in your building. Receptacle, laboratory, HVAC, whatever. If you don't use some of those items, by default, your form actually has it at like therms, I think, off the bat. If you don't actually categorize that properly to what your building's using, your energy at the bottom doesn't actually add up correctly. It took me about a day with Lead Online help support to figure this out and why their form wasn't working. So, just a little heads up there. Conversion factors. Lead Online or GBCI requires that if you have slab floors or underslab walls, that you define it in terms of F factor and C factor. Energy models use U values and R values, not F factor and C factor. Every one of our last 4 energy models, we've gotten kickback with this comment saying, tell us what the F factor and C factor is. What's that?
What is that?
F factor is the U value version of slabs. It determines based on a perimeter of insulation that's put down. And then C factor is it's actually quite weird. It's the same thing as U factor, but it's at a single point. So the way that we went about this after a lot of research, we figured out how to convert F factor to U factor And then C factor, we showed how C factor was equivalent to R value, which was then equivalent to U value. And you think that'd be pretty straightforward, but you have to submit back to them and explain that all. Window values. If you go anywhere other than their norm of 0.45 in an energy model, you have to support it with Windows 5.2 software simulations. That incorporates not only your improved glazing, but your frames. LEED requires you that, that frame going around your window, it has a U factor to it. You got to model the whole assembly. One thing a lot of people miss, you can double dip. Your on-site PV, you can actually count it in your building energy model to reduce the energy usage in your building. You can also then double up on that on your on your credit 2 and get those percents of on-site renewable energy. Biggest thing that hit us, and I'll just go ahead and put it all up there, was UK. We did a district energy system. They have a central plant that serves all their buildings. Big deal with this is that online, it does not define that this is any special circumstance that you have to do in your energy model. There is an errata that they send out now when you get your comments back. It's at that link that says, all right, we want you to model, we want to take your previous 5 models that you had, and then we want 10 models, energy models. We want you to model this as if you have independent systems in the building with boilers and chillers, and then we want you to go ahead and model it as if you had a centralized plant system. Also in those rules, it defines that right here, the difference between these two cannot be more than 4 credit points. So even if your district energy system is whoppingly efficient and just helps you out amazingly, if this guy models at 10 points, you can only get 14 points. And that's in that errata that came out. So that's one sort of limiting, and actually on the UK project, we modeled at 14 points on the independent systems, and we modeled at 19 points on the proposed, but we were only able to take the 18 points. So, go through these real quick. Lead online, quite a few of the forms, you might get stuck. When you go to hit submit, it will say, documentation has not been reached. You got a big N at the bottom of your form. We found about 20% of the time, you just need to call Lead Online and have them reset your form, and all of a sudden it turns into a Y at the bottom. Yeah, it's just glitches with the form process on it.
Did you pay with cash, check, or MasterCard?
I wish.
Have you submitted any like that were not, cleared out at the bottom?
Yes,
Do
actually.
they reject them back?
Well, it won't let you submit them. Now, or at least the newest revision of Lead 3.0 online will not let you submit it. When you go to hit complete, it'll say your form does not meet the requirements for this documentation. Please go back and review. One of which was the energy model. It was actually the very first thing. You have option 1, 2, or 3 to click. And now when you click online, you click option 1 and it pulls down, how many points you're going to go for. We'd click option 1 and nothing would come up. And so it took a call to Lead Online, getting a trouble ticket in, and getting them to reset that point. Measurement and verification, this is a tricky one. You go online, it wants you to put in your proposed energy usage and then your actual energy usage. But you have to submit this at the end of construction before you have a year's worth of energy usage. Lead Online people, and we don't know how this is actually going to come back to us yet. We did this on the UK project. Lead Online people said just put 1 in for everything. It gives you a Y at the end. You can submit the point, and we'll deal with it once it comes to that point of review. We're waiting to see how that actually comes back, but that was the direction that we were given on that. Water efficiency. A lot of people, when they're looking at this, they'll go back to plumbing code, which says you have to have a 50-50 split in your building. If you have a gender-dominant building, Lead Online doesn't say that you have to do a 50-50 split. So if you have engineering office like ours where we're 90% males, 10% females, we can take more advantage of pint flush urinals in there, which have a lot higher water reduction than actual low-flow toilets if you have a 50-50 split. And then we have measurement and verification up there twice.
I just keep you on your toes.
Okay, that's great. And then Q&A, if you have any questions.
Are you guys on LinkedIn?
Yeah.
Are you?
Aye.
Anybody else?
Oh, what was that? I didn't hear.
LinkedIn.